look at some of the things, the traditions that open doors to these familiar spirits to continue staying within the same family and to cause havoc. Remember that their main aim when they were called was not to cause havoc, was to cause good. Remember, it was to cause good. How does the havoc come around? When now the priest of the altar dies. And no one is continuing to bring that goat once a month. From then on, they go berserk. Now their mission is to steal, kill, and destroy. They say they're not keeping their side of the bargain. So we are also not going to keep our side of the bargain. But there are certain important things that familiar spirits have taken and now hijacked so that they can continue to stay within the family. Through the naming ceremonies, through the names that children are given. And maybe a grandmother died. And those evil spirits, they had to leave that body because the body is dead. So they are roaming around. They don't roam around far away. They are roaming around within the bloodline, looking for another person that they can inhabit. And so, what better host than the one that has the same name as them? The one that is given the name of the person they used to live in. So when you give that child that name, all these spirits that were looking for a home, they found a new home. And that is why you find that the characteristics of the person that has been given the name from the person they were named after are the same as that person they were named after. And so you find that all the people that are named after that particular person, their characteristics are very similar. And the things that ailed their former host, if it was sickness, you find that people with that same name will also have those same sicknesses. Because the spirit is the same one that was in the other person, that was causing sickness in the other person. So they will also come and cause sickness in the very same person. Okay? Naming. Shaving of the baby's hair by the mother-in-law. And I know some mother-in-laws are now packing up their bags and they're quickly getting out of the room. Okay? In BBI, we speak the truth. We speak the truth. Not to attack anybody, but to set people free. So that people can know what are the things that are binding them. Those chains, so that they can be broken. So shaving of the hair by the mother-in-law. There are some traditions where the first hair of the baby, the mother-in-law must come and shave it. But many times, no one asks the mother-in-law for that hair. You never know what she does with it. What does she do with it? In some cultures, the mother-in-law will keep that hair, and through that hair, feel like they can now control this child. This is my child. I have their hair. And remember, your hair is your DNA. Your hair is your DNA. So when they shave the hair, they are taking the person's DNA and opening up that child to familiar spirits from the mother-in-law. Familiar spirits from the mother-in-law that shaved the hair of that child. And in some other cultures, in fact, where I am married, when a child is born, an animal has to be slaughtered. And usually it's like, oh, we are slaughtering this animal just to welcome the baby. Why can't you just go and buy meat? You can go to the butchery and buy meat. If there are lots of people, then buy a lot of meat. But they say, oh no, there are a lot of, there are visitors, so we have to now, kill. No. The main aim is that blood needs to be shed. So when that blood is shed, to welcome that little child, an altar has been raised that is going to start speaking over that child. An altar has been raised. And many times the person that slaughtered the animal, this child starts to have an ungodly soul tie with them. This is another opening. And usually it is a family member who slaughters. So again, you see here familiar spirits working in the background in an overt way to try and capture, open doors where more familiar spirits can come in. Burying the umbilical cord of the child. There are some cultures, especially in West Africa. I know there are some in East Africa too. But in West Africa, because I lived there for very long, where they bury the umbilical cord of the child. In fact, somebody comes and asks for the umbilical cord. and they go and bury it, and then they plant a tree on that umbilical cord. And I remember one time I spoke to a lady, a Senegalese lady, and I asked her about this umbilical cord and planting a tree. You know, what does it do? And she gave me an example. She told me she has an uncle who lived in Paris, married to a white lady. They had 3 children, married to a white lady. And one day, because his umbilical cord was buried back in Senegal, in northern Senegal, a very remote place. And so she told me my uncle came back, and you know what happened? When he stopped in the Dakar airport, he went straight to that remote village, and he has never left that place again. He just packed his bag, left his wife, left his 3 children, and entered a plane and went, and was now almost like a mad person, living in that remote place. Because through that umbilical cord and through that tree, in fact, she told me all they need to do is go to the tree and call him. Wherever he is, he will come back. Go and call him. These are now familiar spirits. And once they have called him through that tree, a familiar spirit has been given an assignment. You go to Paris right now. Go to Paris and throw thoughts into his mind. Tell him he has to come home. Tell him he has to come home. Want us to understand how familiar spirits work.